Hi everyone, and welcome to this Video Some Frontier video. Now today, there's a couple of things. First off, on the advice of people in the Autism in Scotland group, I'm actually giving some blue daylight-esque bulbs a go. Basically because they suspect that I might have a touch of the seasonal affected disorder. These lights were, if I can remember, hang on a minute, they're about, do you know, I can't remember exactly how much they were ago. I think they were about £7 each, but with postage and packaging, it actually brought the total up to £29 for 3. So I've got one in the living room, got one in on the bedside lamp in my bedroom, and one on the ceiling. Now, that would explain if my videos come out looking a wee bit blue tinged. That will be why. Also, I do have the daylight lamp. Already though, I can kind of tell that my living room is just so much brighter and better. It is really, I'm glad I've done it, because the bulb that I had was just inferior. The second thing, which basically what this video was really meant to be about, is that when I got my new office chair, the guy who delivered it, Van Group actually, if you're in Aberdeen, so there's a plug for Van Group. Don't have the number off the top of my head, but I don't know, if you googled Van Group it might come up. Yeah, the person who actually delivered the chair said he had a Dell machine for me. I know this guy because through one of my friends. Basically, this machine was given to me. It's a Dell Optiplex 170L, which makes this my second Dell desktop computer and my first Optiplex. And I really like Optiplex, for reasons that I will show you. The reason that the Dell badge is this way up is because I put it that way. You can either have this as a flatbed desktop or as a tower, which is really quite nice. I seem to remember Compaq trying something quite similar back in the 90s. Although the drive cage actually moved, and I don't know how it did that, but it did anyway. Anyway, so in here I think we have a DVD something. Actually looks like a DVD DVD ROM CD writer combo drive. There's no floppy disk drive, although there is a space to add one, I believe. On the front you have this flip out panel, and then if we flip it round to the back, we find parallel parallel printer part, IEEE 1284, RS-232 serial part, VGA part, PS2 mouse and keyboard parts, 4 more USB 2 parts, Ethernet, microphone, speakers and line in. There is also expansion slots, Obviously, well, I think this expansion, there's two card slots. I think one of them is AGP, but to use a second card slot, I think you'll need a riser. Now, this PC is actually quite easy to open and service, like all Dells. Although, these machines, they're quite nifty. You're going to be expecting me to slide off this panel. Not on your life. Not a chance. No. What I'm going to be doing is this. Look at that. This is, of course, one of Dell's clamshell machines. Look at that. And we see a full-size optical drive. We also see cabling for a floppy disk drive. There is RAM. There's a processor. There's the card slots I was telling you about. There's cooling. There's a hard disk. This is brilliant. I don't know how much RAM is in here. Although I could, I guess I could quite easily find out. Just bear with me a moment. It's 1 gigs. It's exactly 1 gigs. Well, there's no gigs in this machine now, because I've just taken out the RAM. There you go, that's it back in. Anyway, so, this is the inside of this machine, and as you can see, it has Dell's good old-fashioned ease of servicing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close it up. I'm not going to slam it down because there are things in the top half that I wouldn't want to slam down. For example, like the hard disk or the CD drive. So, what am I going to use this for? This is going to be my bedroom computer. As some of you will know, the Cube went to my office at the start. Well, the Cube went to my office sometime in October, and the Packard Bell 3050 that I was using in my office came home with me one night, and when I received this computer, I decided to sell on the Packard Bell because I just thought that this computer would be more appropriate. Now, I've not actually powered on this machine yet, but from what I've seen on the internet, it is an Intel Pentium 4. The specification, this sticker was wonky, so I've just made it even more wonky. Basically, it's a Pentium 4, it's a 420 or 430, I couldn't remember exactly what it was, the model number, but I do know this, it is a 3 gigahertz, and it should be quite good, and judging by the sticker, it is actually one of the more modern Pentium 4s. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook it up and we'll take it for a spin. Apparently this has got a so-called dodgy copy of Windows on, so I'm just going to install a fresh copy of XP Professional, which is what it came with. There is a license sticker on the side of this machine that I can use to install XP Professional. I do actually have a Dell specific Windows XP disk, and I believe that I'll be able to get rid of this box. So, thanks to the magic of video editing, I'll be right back. In the words of Otto, alright! So, unfortunately, I couldn't stick the machine upright because I'd not be able to use a CD-ROM drive because of this. So, let's switch it on. That's promising. Okay, first off, a couple of things. Need to probably set it to PC. I was using the HDMI cable. Oh, well, that's good. That's promising. Means I've not wrecked it. So, I've plugged everything into this machine. Well, everything I have. I'm using this hideous chiclet keyboard. And I believe my friend was right. This version of Windows is not genuine. Why? I've not shown you, because I don't feel I have to. Because I don't want to be giving away my keys. But there is actually a key on the side. Seriously, why? Why would you do that? Why would you pirate? Why on earth would you pirate a copy of Windows when a genuine CD key is actually on the side of your machine? Seriously. Don't. Literally, just install it, you know, and if you've got to use a... Well, don't even use a cracked copy of Windows to install it from, literally, because, I mean, all it does is it stops you from actually being able to make it genuine. I know this. I've had first-hand experience of this. I once bought a dodgy copy of Windows XP Media Center Edition 2005 on eBay. 6 months later, I was accepted into university, so I thought, right, well, I want to go genuine now because I'm connecting the machine up to the internet. Did I say 5 years ago? I actually meant 6 years ago. Thing is, I mean, by the time I'd got to university, the Windows Genuine Advantage stuff had started to come out, and it was best to have a genuine copy of Windows. So I did, and I tried installing using from my dodgy disk using a legitimate key, and guess what? It kept spitting out the legitimate key saying it was invalid. CNAP files which need to be... Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is... I'm not going to go through this machine much, but I'll just have a look at what had previously been installed on it. Oh, and while I'm here, I'm going to check... Oh dear. I fear the optical drive may not be long for this world, but it works now. Someone had Virtual PC on it. Whoops. That's pretty impressive. So you kind of knew what they were doing. Do you know what? I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to see what virtual machines they had on it. When it loads up, I will anyway. Jeez, oh. Really is quite slow. Honestly, this does need a tune-up. Honestly, when was the last time it was reformatted? 2005? Earlier? 1994? Even though this PC was built around 2005? See, I can even hear the Wayne from down the stairs yelling. Perhaps she's realised the level of stupidity that has gone to configuring this PC. Basically, what the people... what it's done is taking a really good computer, which this is. I know these are because... I mean, I service Dells. I love servicing Dells. I think they're the best. Talking of which, I'm actually going to put this the right side up again. Oh dear. I really am Captain OCD. Oh, what's this? It says something virtual machine. No startup disk is specified. But oh my goodness, why? What? Oh. Kinga. Crevens. This really is. Oh my goodness. Redwire. Oh. I just hope that by some twisted, cruel fate that it hasn't recognised my Wi-Fi dongle and has connected me up to the internet, because this... Put it this way, I mean, if I was given this machine to service, I would not say it was internet worthy in its current state. Not only am I certain, because it actually tells me... Well, there's no virtual machine on here, that answers that question. Not only do I know that you can't actually... Well, the copy of Windows is not genuine, but I would probably suspect that there's several viruses, and that's partly what's slowing this machine down. Right. So I'm going to cancel that, and I'm going to go... What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Windows XP Professional CD, Service Pack 1, for Dell machines. I'm aware it's an old one, but it still works. I've used it to reinstall Windows on a couple of modern, well, sort of modern Dell Latitudes I have, the D800 and the D500 that I've been working on. Because the good thing about Dell branded Windows XP discs is that it can look at your hardware and somehow find the appropriate CD key, and it can activate your copy of Windows and make sure it's genuine. And because it is XP Professional that's on this machine, that's not a problem. There we go. Put that the right way up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut it down. And then I will no longer be a victim of software piracy. But I don't think I ever... Well, apart from that time I actually specifically asked for a legitimate copy of Microsoft Office 2007 and didn't and got a counterfeit one. I don't think I've ever actually been a victim of software piracy. But then again, to be honest, if you're up in court, then you always say that you're a victim, because the only other thing that you would be is better off. And if you're better off because of software piracy, for some reason the feds don't seem to like that. I love how on Dells you don't necessarily see where the LEDs are, the indication ones, until they actually come up. Come on. And I will be honest, I mean, Dell have had some pretty interesting designs. Not only have they had the clamshell, but they also seem to make the PCs the wrong way round. Normally, if you get an ATX tower case, you'll open it on the left. Even on this Dell down here, you open it on the left, you get the motherboard, everything, you know, and basically the motherboard, everything is, you've got the PC, you know, if you hold the motherboard in front of you, you've got the all the parts to the left and all the expansion cards. Not on Dell desktops of this period. Dell towers, basically, it used to be all the other way round. Everything used to be on the right of the motherboard. The motherboard used to be mounted in the other side of the case. Basically, it was quite clever. Because it meant if you needed to replace your motherboard, you had to replace it with another Dell one. You couldn't just go out to Maplin and say, right, I want a new motherboard, and get one. Well, I wouldn't anyway, but you couldn't just pop down the road and get yourself a motherboard. You'd have to get it from Dell. Oh, thank goodness. Now, I am aware that there are now alternative ways of activating Microsoft Windows. You know, if you do come across this problem, however, my official stance is you have to... Generally, it's a good idea to go for the proper copy of Windows. I mean, I personally would recommend that every time, because then you get support, you get all the updates, you get drivers, and to be honest, you never know if you're going to get viruses or anything. Okay, so here's the BIOS. I mean, you don't know with counterfeit copies of Windows. I mean, if they're being programmed to spit out legitimate keys and being cracked, what else have they written in there? Is what I want to know. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are some that are literally, you know, basically just designed so you can have a cheap copy of Windows. However, you know, I seem to have seen more problems be as a result of dodgy copies of Windows downloaded on the internet, bought on the black market, than enough. Okay, so let's have a look at the specs of this machine. Like the Dell website said, this is a Pentium 4 at 3 GHz. Got a megabyte of L2 cache. The BIOS clock is perfectly okay. Diskette drive A, 3.5 inch, 1.44. So that's not there, so I'm just going to say not installed. SATA primary drive off. And this says it's an 80 gigabyte drive. It's a CD-ROM drive. And like I thought, it's a CD-RW DVD-ROM. Hard disk drive sequence, whatever that is. Oh, system BIOS boot devices. So that's a boot sequence. And then you've got the actual boot sequence itself. Well, hard drive sequence and then boot sequence. Memory information is a gig, like I said, but it's only 333 megahertz. CPU information. Hyperthreading. It's got hyperthreading. We're going to enable that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to enable hyperthreading. CPU speed normal. Bus speed 800 megahertz. Processor OID P41 3 gigahertz. Clock speed 3 gigahertz. L2 cache size 1024 kilobytes. Integrated devices. Sound on network, everything is enabled. Serial port, blah blah blah. Primary video controller, all that nonsense. Power management, suspended S3. S3 what? Trio Verge 64. Not a bad card for back in the day, but Packard Bell S3 cards always used to go wrong. Fastboot on. OS install mode, what's all that about? Never used that in my life. Limit CPU ID value. I guess that must be to do with the serial numbers that used to be on Pentium chips. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save changes and exit. I'm going to press F12, and now we have the boot devices menu. And then what we're going to do is go to IDE CD-ROM drive. And then in a minute the disk drive's going to spin up. And then I'm going to realise that I've done it wrong. And Windows XP is going to come up instead. In which case what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch off. Switch back on. There we go. Doesn't really do much, does it? I mean, it's like, you know, I have been known on Dell Latitude laptops to repeatedly press a key. Just to, you know, the boot sequence, well, for the boot menu. And on this, you know, if you press it any more than once, you know, it goes on, alright, Mr. Panicky, you know, don't worry, you know, I'm doing it, I'm getting to it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to install Windows XP, and while I'm doing that, I'm just going to do a wee bit of housework. And then I will set all this machine up, and I'll group back with you once it's all set up. Thank you. Well, yep. I'm going to say thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you will tune in to my other videos, and I hope you enjoyed this one.